Hey traders, how are you all doing? I hope you're all doing very well. Today we're here with a new video for the channel featuring another binary option strategy for IQ option. Okay, what strategy are we going to use today? What are we going to trade today? Today we're going to trade this type of pattern, okay? This type of pattern in the trading world is known as a consolidation. It's a place or a moment where the price stalls for a period of time before continuing in a certain direction. Why is that? Because as you already know, price moves through highs and lows. So for example, here it goes up, that's the first high, then it goes down, that's the next low, up, down, up, down. But what happens when the price doesn't know which way it's going to go? I know that price isn't alive, but to understand it better, I treat it as if it were something alive, okay? It's like at this point, after going down and then up again, the price still doesn't know which way to go. So what happens then? The price starts bouncing around in one place. We call this stagnation or consolidation, as you can see. It went up, went down, went up again, but at this point here, it couldn't break through. And at this point here, it couldn't either. It's only at this moment here that it breaks through to gain new momentum, okay? And here as well. So what do we do when we see this? When we see a consolidation, there are very good opportunities for us to trade. Today we're only going to talk about one of them, and that's going to be candles with long wicks, okay? These candles here that we are seeing right in front of us, as you can clearly see, are actually tradable. But how? Generally, when a candle leaves a long wick, the next candle tries to mimic the same movement, especially when they're in a consolidation. That's why we see that during this period of time, there are many candles with wicks almost the same size, like this one, for example, which went up here, pulled back, and left a large wick. And this one here, when it formed, tried to imitate the same type of wick, that is the same distance. And the same thing happened here. This candle formed, and when this one appeared, it also tried to imitate the wick over here. Even this one here tried to imitate this one and this one over here. So how can we take advantage of these types of candles with wicks? What we need to do is mark the highest point of the wicks so that we can trade. On this side here, I'm not going to explain how we mark it. I just wanted to explain how we can identify a consolidation. This consolidation is quite large. I wouldn't trade anything here. I don't see anything interesting, at least not anymore, because it's already over. I am going to show you where you can trade, how to mark it, and how to trade it, okay? Alright, traders. Here we have a perfect spot to demonstrate how we can mark and trade. We see that there's a succession of candles, and here the consolidation begins. How do we detect consolidation? When there are three wicks at the same point, here's a wick, this wick also mimicked it, and this wick also reached this point. So at this point we can mark it, and on the next touch of this yellow line we've marked, we would enter a sell, that is go against it. So on this candle right here is where I can sell as soon as the candle touches it. Why? Because there are already three previous touches that confirm to me that this spot is a place where when the candles reach it, they try to imitate the same type of wick as the previous candles. Let's look at another example. Look, here's another one. As we can see, we have this candle here, we have this one that ended up a bit lower, and then we have this one up here, which is almost the same distance as the one over here. So where can we mark? We can mark on the second one. We can also mark up here, but if it reaches down here, as it did in this case, we can sell on this candle. Why? Because it is very likely that this candle will try to imitate the wick of the other three candles that have a similar wick. So that's how you would enter with this strategy. That's all we have to do. Wait until we have three confirmation touches so we can enter on a fourth candle in this type of consolidation or candle accumulation. Can you enter at the bottom? Yes, you can as well, but you would need to have 3 wicks with a significant amount of, let's say, volume. And down here we can't see wicks with much volume. In fact, this candle has a very small wick, the one over here barely resembles it, and this one has a very large wick, so that wouldn't work for us. It would only work for us at the top, but if there happened to be similar wicks to the downside, that would work for us too, and we could buy. Let's look at this last example. Here we have the same example as before, quite similar. We have a wick at the bottom. This wick tried to imitate the one on the left, and this third wick also imitated these over here. So where would we enter? Here. The moment our candle touches this line that we've drawn here, we would enter a buy position, expecting this wick to end up just like the previous 3. It's quite simple. They don't have to be huge candles, they just need to have a volume that resembles the previous 3, okay? So without anything else to add, let's move on to the trades. Alright traders, here we have the first trade. It's quite simple to understand. We see a consolidation. As we can see down there where I entered, I already had confirmation from several previous wicks. So I assumed that this candle, which has a lot of volume, stretched too far. Therefore, when it reached that point, it was going to have that pullback I was looking for. And that's exactly what happened, fortunately. Those trades are great because when we see the candles stretch a lot, it's like getting a second confirmation that in the area we've marked, there's a strong force that's going to push them back, which is where we can enter. Alright, first trade won. Let's move on to the second one. This trade was also quite interesting because I took it in the same area where I took the previous one. Why? Because when this candle formed, it had sharp movements downward, which gave me that second confirmation, that confirmation of strength, showing that the candle reaches a certain point, and then after using so much force to get there, it starts to pull back. And that's it, traders. That was all I had to do. I just had to wait. There's something you might be thinking, and that is, maybe you think that for the trade to be a win, the candle has to end up a different color. But no, that candle that dropped so low could have ended up red. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter if my trade ends up below or above where I entered, because in the grand scheme of things, as long as it wins in the end, that's all that truly matters. I wanted to explain that because in this last trade I took, I had those confirmations beforehand, and this candle ended up red and I still won even though I placed a buy order. Why is that? Because what we're looking for here isn't for the candle to end up a different color, but simply to enter at the wick and have our trade end up in the wick. As you can see, the trade ends up below the blue line and the price remains above. I hope you enjoyed the video, traders. If you have any issues with the strategy, let me know in the comments, and please tell me how many trades you were able to make. See you in the next video.